Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So super cozy video for you today. I'm on my floor because I have a huge stack of books right here and I'm going to be unhauling all of these. So this is my very first unhaul video. So I have gotten rid of books, you know, over the 1.5 to 2 years almost that I've been doing this channel. But I've never actually done an unhaul video, and I've been watching them recently and I'm like, you never know, maybe I could give you guys some suggestions for books, because I'm not only unhauling books that I don't enjoy. That has nothing to do with it. I'm literally just unhauling books for one, because I want to make room in my bookshelves. Now, I was very excited because I've been keeping an eye on the IKEA website, and it says that they're going to have more of these Black Billy bookshelves in stock in Calgary in about 3 weeks. So I'm going to be getting some new bookshelves. I'm just saving up a little bit of money for that, and I also thought it was a good opportunity maybe that I could purge some room on my shelves. So number one, I wanted to make space. Number two, I want my shelves to be mainly the books that I'm going to keep are going to be my wonderful collector vintage copies. Pretty much everything else, you know, I was like keeping books that I really loved and I really enjoyed, but at the same time I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be better if I kind of purged those books so other people could enjoy these stories at a discounted price or for free if I give them away. Sometimes I give my books away, sometimes I put them on garage sale to sell, so I've already sold a couple of these. And then the other reason is, again, I was keeping the books because I was like, oh, you know, I'll probably reread this. I really enjoyed it and it's one of my favorite ones. But with all of the books that I want to read, I'm like, am I really going to go back and reread? So I kind of had all of those thoughts bouncing around in my head, because I'm like that before I make a decision. And I thought, you know what, let's just do a big purge and make some space on the shelves that I have for more vintage books, and also so other people can enjoy these wonderful books as well. So the first couple that I have are actually duplicates. Now, I've said this before on the channel that I have a really bad habit of when I'm buying books, like if I'm buying books off of Book Outlet, which is where I usually get my newer books, I have a bad habit of double clicking. Or I'll put one in my cart and then think it's not in there and put another one in, and then I rush to complete the order. And the other thing, which I've kind of mitigated this, I have some vintage copies that I ended up buying multiples of from different sellers, thinking that I didn't have them in my collection. So one thing that I've done is I'm working on alphabetizing each one of the collections. So like my Fear Street right now, I kind of wanted to put them in publication order, but for right now, as I'm adding to the collection, I've got them in alphabetical order so I can quickly come and see if I need something. And the other thing is I'm working on putting all of my books into a big spreadsheet so I can prevent buying multiple copies of the same books. So these are all duplicates that I had that I'm getting rid of. So the first one is Ghosts Beneath Our Feet. So this is a Betty Wren Wright book, and her books are just, you know, they're really comfy, cozy ghost story type books, and they're right up my alley. But I already had a copy of this one. Same thing with Spooksville. This is Spooksville #1. So for a while I had another copy of this that was kind of hidden in behind my other books. So I accidentally double ordered this one just within a couple of months. I didn't think I had it, but I actually did. So Spooksville, Christopher Pike, favorite author, you guys know that. So gonna get rid of this one. So usually when that happens too, because sometimes you get duplicates if you buy lots of books, like from eBay or whatever, I will come down and see which copy is better. If there's one that's a first printing, of course I'll keep that one. So the copy that I had was already good, so I'm gonna get rid of this one. And then this one, so this is part of the Last Apprentice series, and I've talked about this series a couple of times on the channel. I love this series. I reread the first two in this series last year, And, you know, this whole series is just fantastic. I really don't think it gets enough hype, honestly. And most people know this from that Seventh Son movie that came out that was based on the first few books, and it was just a total flop. So I wouldn't recommend the movie, but totally recommend the series. So this is book number 11, and this is a hardback, but I have the paperback copy that goes with the rest of them. So when I ordered this, I thought I had ordered a paperback copy, but it wasn't. It was hardback, and it looked really awkward on the shelf. It didn't look very good at all. So when I found the paperback copy, I just figured, okay, well, I'll either sell or give this one away. And then I also have a couple of Fear Street that are actually out of my bin already because I have a buyer coming tonight to pick them up. So again, that was a situation where from buying big lots of books, I had duplicates. So figured I would sell them, and they did go very quickly. I think I put them on there for like $5 each, which is pretty good for vintage Fear Street, and they always go quite quickly. So a couple of other books that I have already sold, and these are books that are some of my favorite reads from the past couple of years. But again, I was like, am I really gonna pick these up again with everything that I would like to read in the future? And I said, no, these are pretty popular books, so let's, you know, have them put on garage sale for really cheap so I can, you know, offer them to somebody else for a really cheap price. And so the first one was The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. And there's another book by Katrina Ward coming out next month in March that I already have it pre-ordered to download onto my Kindle. No, I ordered the audiobook, sorry, from Audible. So I'm going to be listening to that one on audiobook next month. And I love her writing. It's so good. Now, The Last House on Needless Street is very much a slow burn. I'm not sure about Sundial. I'm trying to stay away from a lot of spoilers for that one. But I know with The Last House on Needless Street, it was very much a slow burn, but it was one of those books I was just sucked in, and I was totally into the story, trying to figure out what was going on. It's super imaginative, has great twists and turns, and she writes creepy very well. And so I had totally planned on keeping this book, but I'm going to get rid of it so somebody else can enjoy this story. So that one has already been sold. And the other one that's sold that has been one of my favorite reads is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. And I would like to read The Final Girl Support Group sometime soon. But for My Best Friend's Exorcism, I believe it was part of my 2020 favorite reads of the year. And I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I really enjoyed that book. I enjoyed his writing. I enjoyed the nostalgia. So pop that one on garage sale as well. And I keep saying that, but just so you know, it's a virtual garage sale, so it works very much like Kijiji. It's very big in my community that I live in, and it's a great way to get cheap books. I buy books on there all the time, and you literally just wrap them up in a bag. Everyone has a bin out on their front doorstep. You go put it in the bin, somebody comes and picks them up, and they leave the money in the bin. So those ones are gone. And I also sold a couple of my Stephen King out of that big Stephen King haul that I did recently. I had to buy everything as one lot, but there were a couple of books in there that just didn't really interest me. So Bag of Bones, Hearts in Atlantis, yes, those ones sold. And I also have Full Dark No Stars and Gerald's Game as well. Those ones, like, they sound good and people have said they're good, but the synopses just don't really intrigue me. So I figured it's probably better for me to have the Stephen King collection that I want, and then I'll just get rid of these other ones. These go very quickly on garage sale as well. These Stephen King hardcovers, and I bought them in very good condition. So I've got those listed, and those are huge too, so that's gonna free up a lot of space. So I have my cranberry juice here. I don't know, does anybody else love cranberry juice as much as I do? This is actually a cran raspberry, and I think I've got a white cranberry over there, and I've always got cranberry juice around. I don't know why. but it's very much a Saturday night treat for me. I don't know, maybe I think it's kind of like wine, but it's not really, because I'm 5 years old apparently. So anyway, getting back into the books. So this one I actually just finished. I haven't even talked to you guys about it yet. It's called The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor, and there's another C.J. Tudor book in here as well. So not going to mention anything about this just yet because it's going to be part of my February wrap up, but I literally just finished this one the other day. So wasn't planning on keeping this one. Like, I bought it as a bargain copy from Book Outlet, read the story was okay, just gonna get rid of it. So make some room on the shelves. And then moving on, so there's a couple of books in this stack that are actually some of my favorites, and there's a couple of books in this stack that are not, and some from series that I'm not continuing with the series. So the first one is Goddess of Filth by V. Castro, and this was on one of my, or it was on my favorite reads of 2021 list. I loved this book. I thought it was over the top. I'm always looking for a different sort of possession story, because I find that when I'm reading possession stories, it's just everybody kind of does the same thing, but this one is really, really, really good. If you haven't had a chance to read this yet, I would highly, highly recommend it. One of my favorite reads of 2021. And another one that I just finished actually now, I actually read The Good House. It's very long. It doesn't seem like that big of a book, but the print is very, very small. But I actually read this one on audiobook over the past couple of months, and I finished it just last night actually. So I'm not going to say anything about it, but I was getting rid of my physical copy because this book is very expensive for some reason. And when I saw that it was on Book Outlet, and the physical copy was cheaper than what it would be to even download it on my Kindle by like a significant amount, I went ahead and bought it. And then when I opened it, I was like, oh my god, like the print in this book is minuscule. And I have very bad eyes. I can't handle that whatsoever. So just going to go ahead and get rid of the physical copy. But I would highly recommend, if you haven't read this book yet, go ahead and get it on audiobook. The narrator is just fantastic. I really, really enjoyed this book. So not going to say too much about it because I just finished it and it's going to be in my February wrap up. But fantastic book. And this is pretty much in new condition. So hoping this one will go quickly as well. So next up is Haunted Peak District. So this one was actually chosen for me to read last November by my husband. I did a video that was called Husband Picks My TBR. It was so much fun to do with Matthew. He really got into it, and I might do something like that again too, and not have him pick an entire TBR because I'm not doing them anymore, but maybe have him come down and pick out one book for me to read. But this is kind of like a series of ghost stories in here, very, very short ghost stories. Some of them are only a paragraph or two long, from the district of Derbyshire over in the UK, and it's apparently a very haunted place. A lot of spooky things happen there. It's a real hot spot for paranormal activity. I was really disappointed with this book. I actually ordered it on Amazon and it had to ship, I believe, from the UK. So I waited a really, really long time for it, and then when I got it, it just really didn't live up to expectations. Like, I get short ghost stories, but these were like a couple of paragraphs and then nothing. So it was a little bit too short for me, but so figured I'd get rid of that one. Ghost story books for some reason always go really quickly on that site, so hoping that one will go. The next one, I've actually got a couple here from Abominable Book Boxes. So the first one is The Beresfords by Will Carver, and so this is a brand new book, and it just doesn't appeal to me. It really doesn't. Like, I couldn't even, like, if I don't read the synopsis directly from the back, I couldn't even tell you what this was about. So brand new, got it in a subscription box, and subscription boxes are great. I love Abominable. It's probably the best subscription box out there, but I have gotten several books that, you know, unfortunately it just doesn't appeal to me, but that's the shtick with the mystery boxes, right? So this is one that I don't think I'm going to read, so I've got this one listed to sell. And yeah, there's a couple more here from Abominable. So one is called Witchy, and I've had this one listed for quite some time to sell. It's a graphic novel, or like a comic kind of, and it's not my thing. Like, graphic novels are totally not my thing, and I've gotten a few from Abominable. So I've had this one listed, had it put down to like $1, and it didn't go. So I'm just gonna bring this one to Goodwill. So that's another brand new one. Now this one I had on the shelf for quite a while because I couldn't decide what I was going to do. So this is Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bastarrica, and this is such a popular book. Such a popular book. I think pretty much everyone has read it in the horror community. Got this one in the Abominable book box, and I was kind of excited, but I think I've decided that I'm really uncomfortable with the subject matter. So rather than try to put myself through it, I think I'm just gonna get rid of this one. Yeah, so basically this is a story about where all of the animals on Earth are infected and humans can't eat them for meat, for food. So then we turn to eating ourselves, and cannibalism is just not my thing, and very much, you know, slavery and captivity and stuff like that is hard subject matter for myself. So you know what, I was like, don't go over your boundaries, just maybe it's just not for you. So I'm gonna list this one. And then next is The Diviners by Libba Bray. So I read this book on my Kindle. I originally got, I think I got this brand new. Yeah, I did. I got this one brand new, and when it arrived, this is another one that the text is extremely small. So then I ended up reading it on my Kindle, and I talked about this one in my December-January wrap-up. And me and the main character in this book just really don't jive. We're not friends. So I don't think I'm going to be going ahead with a series. The whole concept is really, really cool. I love that there's like a serial killer, but he's like into the occult and stuff like that. And you know, everybody, all of these teenagers have like their own special powers, and they're trying to help with figuring out who this killer is. Really, really great storyline. But the two things with this book, and I mentioned it in my wrap up, were a little bit too long, kind of dragged out in places, and the main character and I we don't jive. So I don't think I'm going to be continuing on with this series, but even if I do, I have it on my Kindle if I need to reread a little bit of it to refresh my memory, and then I'll make a decision later. But if you struggle with small print, don't get the physical copy of The Diviners. Next one is Hex Life. So this has a beautiful cover. One of the reasons why I bought this book was because of the cover, and it's New Tales of Witchery, so it's all about witchcraft and witches, and you know, throughout the different ages and stuff like that. And I read a pretty good chunk of this back in November. This is another one that Matthew picked out for me, and the stories just kind of fell flat for me. It wasn't what I was expecting. So I decided to put it down, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a DNF like forever, or if I'm going to pick it up. But like, I just really didn't enjoy the stories in here. And it's funny because I heard the same thing on some other people's channels, that it wasn't what they were expecting, and it kind of didn't really live up to expectations. So beautiful, beautiful cover, but I don't think I'm going to pick it up again. So figured it's best to either sell or give away, and somebody else can enjoy. And then the next one is Young Scrooge, A Very Scary Christmas Story by R.L. Stine. And this one doesn't have a dust jacket or anything on it. I think it's the past 3 Christmases now I've tried to read this book, and I just haven't picked it up. Honestly, just haven't picked it up. And it's not like a collector's vintage copy of R.L. Stine, so I figured, you know, I bought this book for $1. I'm just not reading it, so I'm going to go ahead and give that one away to Goodwill. And then this is another one that I don't think I'm going to go ahead with a series. So this is the first book in the Skullduggery Pleasant series by Derek Landy. And so this is like a middle grade sort of supernatural adventure, I guess I would say it is. And really cool story. I really enjoyed this story actually, but I don't think I enjoyed it enough to actually go ahead with the series. Super, super cute, but you know, just one book in this was good enough for me. And I got it for super cheap. I bought it for $5 at a secondhand store. So I'm actually going to bring it back to them and get a store credit. So next up, two of my absolute favorite books that I've read in the past couple of years are HorrorTube anthologies by Regina St. Clair, and of course all the wonderful contributors from HorrorTube. So I love these books. I love them. They're fantastic. And Local Haunts especially, I did the Local Haunts tag that was done by Dane Cobain back when this came out in the fall of 2020, and it was one of my favorite videos I've done ever, like ever, because I got to tell ghost stories about where I'm from. And I really struggled with this, but I think I'm going to free up the space. I don't know if I would ever go back and reread these stories, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put it out there either at Goodwill or through a garage sale, and you know, somebody else can enjoy these stories. And I mean, the covers are just, they just have the best covers. They're the best stories. So I was like, okay, let's spread the love. And there's probably people out there who don't even know what HorrorTube is. I know I had a conversation with one girl. She wanted to buy a book from me the other day. I think she bought the Last House on Needless Street. She was like, hey, I see you really like horror, you know, have you read anything lately that you really enjoyed? She was like, I really like the genre and stuff. So I told her, I'm like, hey, you can check out like horror booktube channels on YouTube. I was like, I have one on there if you want to go check it out. She was so excited because like people just don't know about it. So I thought this was a great way as well if I gave these to Value Village or somewhere like that, and someone else got to discover HorrorTube. So decided to part ways with those ones. So like I said, this is not all like some unhauls that I've seen. It's people just talking about books that they really didn't like. But for me, it's kind of a mishmash of everything. Like ones that I've had there for a while that I haven't read at all and probably like I don't feel the urge to pick up. Some that I really loved. Some that I didn't like. So the next one is The Ghost Road. And this one is actually signed by Karis Cotter. This was such a cute and spooky ghost story. If you haven't discovered Karis Cotter yet, I would highly recommend checking out her books. She writes middle grade ghost stories and they're so cute and cozy. She's very much kind of the Darcy Coates of middle grade, and her books are always very adventurous too. So there's always a ghost story, but there's always like a huge adventure going on. And this one, you know, it has ghosts, it has fairies, it has girls that find out secrets about themselves and about their family and small towns and the whole thing. So if you haven't discovered Karis Cotter, I highly recommend checking out The Ghost Road. There's another one by her called The Swallow, which I still have on the shelf. I haven't read. And there's another one that I read last year from her called The Dollhouse. That one was pretty good. So if you like middle grade ghost stories, check out Karis Cotter. And next up, another one of my top reads from 2021, Take Your Turn Teddy by Haley Newland. I love this book. I love this book so much. Like, I think if somebody asked me like what's one book that you would recommend, this probably would be one of them. I enjoyed this book from cover to cover, and I remember I was super sick this summer. I had kind of like a lung thing going on, like my airways were all irritated and swollen. And it wasn't an infection, but I had to go on a puffer and stuff. And I was sitting up in urgent care and I was just sucked into this book. I think I was sitting in the waiting room in the ER for like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours. And it zipped by because I was reading this book. And I can't wait to read more from her. There's actually another one that I want to pick up from her this year. So Haley Newland, awesome author. And this book, especially if you like psychological horror, I would really recommend this one. So we have one book from my best reads of 2021 list, which is Don't Tell a Soul by Kirsten Miller. And I had every intention of rereading this book this year, but again, just looking at all the books that I want to read, I'm like, am I really going to go back and reread this? So I thought I'm just gonna get rid of it, have somebody else enjoy it. But this is another really good thriller. This is kind of like a YA thriller. If you like the small towns with lots of secrets and like a ghost story and trying to figure out, and a girl comes in and she's an outsider and the whole thing, that whole trope, this one is definitely for you. This is a fantastic book. So getting rid of that one so somebody else can enjoy. And then the other one is The Remaking by Clay McLeod Chapman. And this one was on my most disappointing reads of 2021 list. This book had such a good synopsis, you know, about these witches that were burned and now they're coming back to, you know, exact revenge kind of thing. And there's like different timelines of stories that are going on with this. And it just fell flat for me. I really didn't like it. I thought the writing was melodramatic and it wasn't great. It really wasn't a great book. His writing though has improved tenfold. And I've got another book here from Clay McLeod Chapman that I'm going to be unhauling as well. But this one, definitely not for me, but there's probably somebody out there who would enjoy this one. And last one in this stack is Almost Feral by Gemma Hickey. And this is a nonfiction book. And I wouldn't say it's an autobiography, but Gemma is a trans rights activist from my home province of Newfoundland, and they are also a survivor of clerical abuse. And the stories in here are harrowing of what Gemma went through and the lasting scars from something like that. So they are really a pioneer for trans rights, non-binary rights. They were the first person in Canada to get a non-binary passport or birth certificate, I believe. And in 2015, they decided that they were going to walk across the province to raise money for survivors of clerical abuse. And this is the story of that. So it goes into a little bit of their childhood, family, all of that sort of thing, right up to this walk that they did across the province. And it's harrowing but heartwarming at the same time. I loved this book. Gemma is a fantastic writer. Fantastic writer. They really have a knack for really putting a stamp on metaphors of what they mean, and just fantastic. If you get a chance to read this book, especially if you want to learn more about trans rights and stuff like that, this is definitely one to pick up. So I'm going to be unhauling this one because Gemma is very well known here in Canada, and I'm sure somebody else is going to enjoy reading their story. Oh, here we have a couple of tote bags. I have a thing for tote bags. Does anybody else have a thing for tote bags for like when they go book shopping and stuff? Like, I mean, I don't spend a whole lot of time in bookstores anymore, just like with the whole pandemic thing and everything going on, but we've got one that has the Abominable logo on it, and I love that. And then we've got one, I actually got this one out of a Owl Crate box. I stopped subscribing to Owl Crate because I found their boxes had a lot of knickknacks, and it was more geared towards very girly things. And I'm not big into knickknacks. So this one, and I love the moon phases on this, and it says the moon is a loyal companion, which is absolutely true. So a couple of tote bags there in this pile, but when I start going to bookstores again regularly, I definitely like to take my tote bags. And then the last couple that we have in this pile, I've actually got to find the dust jacket for this one. Another one of my favorite reads, Baby Teeth by Zoya Stage. Like I said, I've got to find the dust jacket for this. But this is another one if you're looking for a, like if creepy kids really creep you out, this one will do it. If you haven't checked out Baby Teeth, I love this book. This is another one, like if somebody asked me to recommend a couple of books, this is definitely one that I would recommend. This is creepy and activate your gag reflex, and it's just kind of crazy, and I love it. I absolutely love it because creepy kids are one of my things. Kids creep me out. So I've got to find the dust jacket. This one was in my top reads of 2020 list. I think it was like was this my top read? No, this was number 3, I believe, on my top reads list of 2020. And so if you haven't checked out Baby Teeth yet, do it. So definitely going to bring that one to Goodwill. And another one by Clay McLeod Chapman that we're unhauling. So this is Whisper Down the Lane, and this was my top read of 2021. This is a beautiful book. I love the cover art on this book. It's gorgeous. And then I actually did, for Lubricalia, I did a red book stack on my Instagram, and this was one of the ones that was one of the main pieces that was in it. I'll see if I can insert a picture here, but just the bare cover is gorgeous as well. I love the look of this book. It's just gorgeous, and it's a fantastic book as well, especially if you are into the Satanic Panic, which I very much am. I think it was a crazy time period, but this is a fantastic book, and I love to see when writers, their writing just keeps getting better and better. So Clay McLeod Chapman with the Remaking, I really didn't enjoy his writing, which I'm glad I ended up reading this one first, because if I had read the other one first, I'd probably be a little bit skeptical to pick this one up. But his writing has really gotten a lot better, and if you haven't picked up this book, like I said, especially if you're into kind of crime or anything to do with the Satanic Panic and stuff like that, I would highly recommend picking this one up. And then the last 2 on the list, so another CJ Tudor, so we have the Chalk Man in here as well, and The Burning Girls was also on my top reads of 2021, so I think I'm unhauling all of my top reads of 2021 right now, just because, like I said, I don't think I'm actually going to have time to go back and read these. So The Burning Girls, fantastic thriller, so very much like Don't Tell a Soul by Kirsten Miller. This is a fantastic book about small town, lots of secrets. This woman is a vicar, and the previous vicar had ended up committing suicide and left her an exorcism kit for when she started in the church. And it just sets off this whole series of events. And this is a real page turner. I hated when I had to put this book down because I was reading it during the week. So I'd read it like in the morning or during my lunchtime. And I absolutely loved it. So please go get your hands on a copy of The Burning Girls. I recommend this one to everyone as well. And then the last one that we're unhauling is Clan in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. I love the cover on this book. And this was also in my red stack for Lupercalia. Really great slasher story. I have a review on the channel if you want to go back and watch it. And Adam is actually coming out with a second part of this story, and I am going to read that, but I don't think I'm going to go back and read this one. I thought, you know what? This is a great story. Somebody else is going to love it, especially, you know, teenagers and young adults. So I figured I'm going to unhaul it and let somebody else enjoy it. So that's pretty much everything I have for you. Thank you so much for watching the video. I cleared a ton of space off these shelves, and I'm so excited that when I go to get my new shelves, I can do some reorganization here and have even more space to buy more books. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up, leave me a question or a comment down below, because you know I love chatting with you. But until next time, stay spooky, guys. Bye.